Oh boy, this is a good one. This was a super historical mine, and I was the first one in since it closed. It was just a great historical find. It took me almost 19 years to find a way into this one, but I did it because that's what I do. Everyone in the hobby, including all the experts, they said, you will never find a way in. And there I was, doing my thing, finding my way in. Look at this timber. Whoa. All right, let's get to this. We're going to be doing a cool little hybrid of video footage and some of my photographs for this video. What I said in the opening portion of this video is true. I was the first one into this mine since the 1970s when this one closed. Super historical mine. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about the history of it because I don't want to give up the location. I found a really interesting mine. I'm sitting down. It's real short. I think it's a bootleg. That roof has seen better days though. That timber is so dry. Look at all the rings in it. This is an old mine. Look what we found. Mule shoe. Porcupine quills all around too. You can see the nails that held the mule shoe into place. That's so bad. It's like a delaminated roof from hell. Oh my God. This roof though, for real. Standing in the main gangway, admiring the roof. She's just all shale. Getting dripped on. Backpack for scale. Oh, there's a portal. Yeah. Well, they had mules down here. The mules weren't making that crawl that you did. What do you say? He's going. Wow, it never opens up? Huh? Yeah, give me a minute. This is the way in. I'll show my helmet for scale here in a sec. It's rough. It's bad. Yep, look, 20 more foot. It's a low crawl. No, I'm already in place.
It's not robbed out on either side. They kept it in reserve, so this had to have been an escape way. This is the ultimate low vein experience, for real. Keep going.
I'm working on it. It's too hard to film and crawl. Yep, way too hard. Everything look good? Huh? Everything look good? All right, sweet. Coming up. That looks cool with the overhead coal, doesn't it? So here you can see there's overhead coal, which is notoriously sketchy because it can fall down on you. This mine overall is in terrible, terrible condition. Once you go under that overhead coal, it opens up to a normal looking tunnel, except it's all collapsed. And you just skirt off to the right hand portion of the collapse. Once through that collapse, there's more collapse, and you have to go down a working, again, over all types of collapse. And then you see this.
Oh my.
What? What is this? It's a wire rope guide wheel. Wow, look at that, gentlemen. But yeah, you can see how bad the roof is here. The roof has even come down on this wire rope guide wheel. Very, very unstable top. These wire rope guide wheels worked in tandem with the mine hoists for the movement of coal cars. This was probably a locally made steel product back in the day. Northeastern Pennsylvania used to have a lot of industry present. This was once an economic powerhouse. Unfortunately, in the modern era, it is deindustrialized.
Well, I'm the first one in this massive colliery since its closure. Huge. Oh, what a slope. What an internal slope. Oh my God.
Oh my.
Glow sticks so we don't get lost.
When I was filming this, I couldn't believe what was happening. I'm like, I did it. It took me like 18, 19 years, but I got into this mine and everyone said I couldn't do it, and here I am. Other people will claim that they were first into this one. No, I mean, it was me. I did it. I don't care. I know it's true. It was all me. But wow, look at that slope. Unbelievable. Unfortunately, you can see how this roof section has come down here. It's a little treacherous. This mine was operating up until the 1970s, and we thought, wow, this is going to be a largely intact coal mine. And once you saw the slope initially, you're like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a good one. Nope. Look at that photo. You can see my mine exploring buddy with me for scale purposes. Wow. Here's me going down the slope. Turning around and looking back up the slope, my friend was like, look at our shadows. And there I am flexing. When you're first into an abandoned mine since it closed, all these cool artifacts are left behind.
I've never seen one of those underground. Wow. This is such a rare treat that I have to recreate what happened. I was like, oh, whoa. You never see these.
This was such a special moment in time for myself that I had to take a photo. Imagine if you were down here alone and you bumped into me and this is what you saw.
Oh my.
Look at that. Whoa. Yikes. Calm down there, buddy. How cool is that sign? For real. Just look at it. There is a date of 5/12/71 etched onto that board where the flame safety lamp was, and that was from the coal mine inspector. That's important to note because most of the mines here in northeastern Pennsylvania were abandoned in the late 50s, early 60s. Some held on to the mid-60s, but basically none were operating into the 70s. I'm sorry for being vague as to what mine this is and the history surrounding it, but unfortunately you have to attempt to safeguard the locations. I can't even say what anthracite coal field this one was in. Look at this timbering though, and this one actually has some roof bolts, which was completely rare to see underground in an anthracite coal mine, because that was a practice that seems to have been introduced in the mid to late 1960s. Beautiful timbering here though, it really is. So this was a siding essentially off of the main slope.
Literal anthracite heaven.
The distance to the roof was pretty high here. I guess that it was about 12 to 13 feet from roof to floor, which is pretty rare. Sometimes you're dealing with heights that are only about 4 feet, sometimes 2 feet high. As you can see, I really like taking photos. I love how this one came out. If you notice the angle of the timbering, that's because that was the angle of the coal vein.
Well, going down the slope, you'll see this mine car. I had to really take it in for a second. It has flipped over and is upside down. Did they take out the roof too? It must have. It's like roof collapse on top of it. Yeah, look, it knocked the timber down on top of it. Wow.
Here's what's left of an anthracite coal pillar. They chipped away at that, as you can see. The anthracite coal pillars were what actually held up the roof of the mine. Timbers did not do that, believe it or not. So they would mine coal, leave some coal, mine coal, leave some coal, and that was called room and pillar mining. I would say that the pillars usually were about 50 feet by 50 feet, and as you can see, this is not that. So when the mine was getting ready to close, or they were done working out a specific section of the mine, they would rob the pillars out, which is also called retreat mining. And they would remove those coal supports, and often the roof would come right down when they were doing that. Which leads me to this photo. Take a look at this rock. Doesn't look like much, does it? Notice how there's a timber, and there's a little piece of rock on top of that timber. Well, what if I was to tell you that that little piece of rock is what's left of the original section of roof? You see, they robbed out this area, and the roof came down. There's about an 8-foot void on top of that timber now, where the roof used to once be. Yet that timber has somehow held, and there's just that little piece of roof on top of the timber. That's a very strong timber. This is what that timber probably looked like before the roof came down. This section of the coal mine is my favorite. Look at my friend posing for this photograph. When we saw this section for the first time, we were like, what? Oh my God! That's because this is an internal rock tunnel for the haulage of coal. And this was driven through solid rock. Think of the rock tunnel as the highway for the coal mine. It's cool because this portion of the mine is like a small hard rock mine in a sense. Something like you see in a gold mine or silver mine out in the western portion of the country. You can see how the anthracite coal vein atop the rock tunnel is pitching upward. Well, there's another coal vein like that doing the same exact thing a few hundred feet back. So in order for them to get access to that coal further back in the mine, they had to drive these internal rock tunnels. And then these were used simply for the haulage of coal via the electric mine locomotives. This thing is so beautiful. Look at that mining engineering. It's perfection. So take a look at that light in the background. That's my friend holding a flashlight. That's where the other vein of coal begins and where the rock tunnel ends.
There's no footprints. First in. God, I love these rock tunnels. Echo! Wow. Can you imagine with the cars?
This tunnel would have been absolutely buzzing with human activity. Now it's eerily quiet forever. It's very sad. I had to take some of these black and white photos just to make it look vintage. So cool. I couldn't stop taking photographs of this rock tunnel. Way too photogenic. These internal rock tunnels hold up usually very well, structurally speaking, because again, they're driven through solid rock. The same cannot be said for the rest of the mine, unfortunately, because that's usually driven through shale and coal, which is much more unstable.
Intact rail, covered in just a slight amount of rock. Right there is the overhead trolley wire. It wasn't scrapped, just came down from the small collapses of rock. It would have been mounted in the roof.
See what I mean by how these rock tunnels were more structurally sound? Look at how clean that floor is. Further down the rock tunnel, there's a little bit of collapse, but it's mostly superficial. Just a little bit of roof flaking.
Carbide lamp. Wow. What an interesting setup for a carbide lamp. It's got 2 reflectors, it seems. There's 1, and there's 2. Weird. There's the reservoir. That is so weird. Interesting, though. That's neat. That's what my grandfather smoked. Look at the overhead electrolysis. Wow. From the overhead trolley wire. Sparking and leaving its copper imprint on the roof. They're neat looking, aren't they? So the overhead trolley wire is gone, but it burned remnants of itself into the overhead rock. Amazing.
Check out this huge, huge fossil left behind of an entire tree. Here's working number 14. So what they did was they would mine coal, leave coal, mine coal, leave coal. And when they were mining coal in that one section between the coal pillars, that was a working. Here's working 10.
These trees probably grew in the 1700s. Probably the 1600s even, possibly, depending on some of them. Wow.
You can see how the timbers in the foreground have disintegrated after they collapsed. That's because of some roof fall. Wow, look at that. Woo! The timber on the left here was once an overhead horizontal one. Here's an old track intersection that's now collapsed out somewhat, and you can see the pillar of coal in the middle. It's always fun taking photographs that make it look like a train is coming. The LED lights we have, though, are probably a little bit brighter than the old electric mine locomotive lights they had. Here we found an internal slope that had 2 sets of tracks. Unfortunately, it was collapsed. I love that. This was a rare sight in this mine. Intact rail where there was no collapse atop it. Notice how the rail in the foreground is just completely deteriorating like it's a shipwreck. And look at these timbers that were never used. That trolley wire has oxidized. It came down and then it just oxidized. This is such a weird sight because it's dry here. However, the air is humid. So this trolley wire is just rotting in place. Yeah, they were definitely worried about the roof here. Look at that cap board up top, taking that weight. Gigantic set of 2 timbers there, or 3 timbers. And they just like popped or imploded until 1 timber. Bad top there. Here's a pair of miner's gloves that are like 2-dimensional from them just rotting. This company's still in business and I buy their cough drops whenever I have a cold. It's sad because this miner probably was suffering from black lung, and if that was the case, he would be suffering from chronic respiratory issues, hence why you would find cough drops down in this mine. This was an awesome find. This box has coal cutter bits, and on the outside you can see an old shipping label. And once I removed the coal dust off of that shipping label, it had the miner's name and house address because he had this mailed to his home. Look at these dates. 3448 JC, 7848, 4950. Here's where there was an old air brattice door that went over the rail, and there was a huge collapse beyond it. Just beyond it, you can see it there on the right. I think this occurred a long time ago because they left their inspection dates right here on the wall. So they would just come up and check the air and then leave. Notice how the right-hand portion of this track intersection is under a collapse now. The whole mine, for the most part, is all collapsed out. Like, look at this 2-way intersection. Just collapse everywhere. Look at this huge cavern-like void left behind after the mine roof came down. Oh my God. Ugh. Look at that timber. That took some weight. Definitely took some weight. That's amazing that that weight could do that and it didn't blow out completely. Here's a petrified tree stump that has come out of the roof. They were always formed in the roof and they would fall out. That is ancient. This old school wooden barrel is amazing. I just love it. Wow! My favorite thing to see in a mine. Petrified tree stump. Ugh! Oops, I'm good. So right next to the petrified stump, there's a timber that took weight. The stump is here, and again, look up in the roof. You can see where it was formed. That's where it sat for hundreds of millions of years. Yeah, these mine timbers definitely have seen better days. They took some serious weight and pretty much blew out. There's the geologic formation. The
coal is pushing upward right at this point. Interesting. Wow! The coal goes nearly vertical.
This is such a rare spot because the coal literally turns from nearly horizontal completely to vertical, all on a dime. Right there, the coal goes from basically flat to vertical, and then some. It comes back in on itself in addition to going vertical. Here I am standing at the spot where the coal made its pitch upward from a nearly flat position. The force required to do that would have been immense, and this geologic formation extends for several miles, I read. They say that these mountains, when this coal is being formed, were taller than Mount Everest. That's just amazing. When I read the accident reports about this mine, they said that a lot of falling timbers killed miners, and I can see why, because they were working in vertical pitch, and those timbers would come rocketing down. If you happen to be standing there, it would undoubtedly just take you out. To me, this is like nature's artwork. This is literally a masterpiece in Mother Nature.
There was coal here. You can see all the shapes of the host rock that the coal is resting against when it's being formed. Interesting. Beautiful. The force that created that was immense.
All right, we had enough for this trip. Time to head out. Oh my God, look at those overhead timber sets. They've just all collapsed. Oh man, what way's out? Oh, look, there's a sign. Woo!
Amazing, isn't it? Main outlet. That way out. Unfortunately, it's only kind of half true. Used to be able to walk right up the slope and out. Anymore.
Some people were upset that these arrows were left behind by myself, and I heard that they got lost, and my arrows saved them.
All right, man, what did you think of that? That was a horrible crawl out.
It's an incredible mine. The way in and the way out sucks.
It's terrible. It's the ultimate low vein crawl, straight from hell. You're going into hell initially, and then you're coming out of hell, thank God.
Some kind of sketch city.
Oh yeah.
All right, thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And this was a great mine to explore, even though it was in completely horrible condition, because this was a true historical one to find. This was a legendary expedition.
And that's why I am the king of anthracite coal.
Found another sign. We staged it properly. It's actually good to know. Look at that gate. I can't believe they left that gate open though.
Oh my.
Outrageous. Someone's gonna get hit by a electric mine locomotive.